ABC Kinderteach presents Leave Me Alone, written by Vera Brosgol. Once there was an old woman. She lived in a small village or town in a small house with a very big family. Wow, look at all the kids and the people living there, and she does not look happy, does she? And it looks like there might be some more kids coming. Oh boy, a lot of people in a little small house. Winter was coming. That meant she had some very important knitting to do. And knitting looks like this. You make sweaters and scarves and maybe blankets, maybe. But it wasn't getting done. So those are her balls of yarn that she uses to knit with. And the kids all run by her and the balls of yarn go in the air. So she doesn't really have a lot of luck getting the knitting done, it looks like. And the kids look like they're running off with one of the balls. Maybe more than one. Her grandchildren were very curious about her knitting. Were you supposed to hit the ball with a stick? So it looks like these three boys are hitting it like it's a baseball, and every time they hit it, the string comes out more and more. Could you eat it? And this little baby seems to be eating it. Could you make your brother eat it? Oh, this girl's trying to stick the whole thing in the baby's mouth. I hope that's not going to be the case. Why did the ball get smaller and smaller as you chased it? So they kept chasing it, and of course it keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller until what? Yes, I bet the ball's going to be gone and the string will just be a little piece at the end, maybe. There it is, the end of the ball right there. The old woman was at the end of her rope, which means she was so tired of the kids running off with her yarn that she was like, I'm just mad about the whole thing. So she made her bed as neatly as she could, which is kind of hard because while she was making it, the kids are climbing underneath it, bouncing on it, hitting each other with the pillows. She is looking very grouchy. She swept the floorboards or the floor until they more or less shone. And look at the kids are tracking in mud as she's doing it, and he's putting his muddy hands on her apron. So she is really tired of all these kids. She drank tea from her samovar, which is a pretty teapot used in Russia. She packed up her things in a big sack, and as she left, she shouted back. What would she shout? Would she shout, "I'm going"? Maybe. Would she shout, "I'm not coming back"? We'll see. Leave me alone. So she's telling the kids to leave her alone. She's leaving. The old woman walked through the deep, dark forest. I wonder where she's going. She made a fire so that she could see what she was doing. So she went to the forest. She made a fire so that she could do her knitting. Then she sat down and began to knit. She does look a little bit calmer there, doesn't she? A little bit happier. The bear family was very curious about the light from her fire and about what she might taste like. So the bears are thinking about eating her. I hope that doesn't happen. And look at these cubs are playing with their yarn. Everybody plays with their yarn. Oh, what is the deal with that? Leave me alone, the old woman shouted. The bear seems surprised, and the cubs are hiding behind the mom. But they didn't listen because bears don't speak English. So she picked up her sack and left. And they're like, what was that all about? The old woman climbed up the mountainside. It was cold, so she found a small sheltered place like a little cave. Then she sat down and began to knit. And look at, she has a knitted scarf on her now to keep warm. It looks like somebody might be bothering her, maybe a goat. The mountain goats were excited to have a visitor, especially one that brought snacks. They think the snacks are the yarn. Everybody is eating her yarn. She does not look happy there, does she? "Leave me alone," the old woman shouted. Where's she going to go next? Another mountain? Maybe back home? But the goats were too busy fighting over the red ones, which they all agreed were the best. So she picked up her sack and left. So the goats thought the red yarn tasted the best, but they all tasted the same because they're just yarn. The old woman climbed higher and higher up the mountain. She reached the top and climbed onto the moon. So they're saying that she walked up and she was able to walk right into the moon, but that's not true because the moon is millions of miles away from that mountain. It just looks like it's close. And plus you'd have to have a bunch of stuff to breathe because they don't have air like we have on Earth. She found a rock that was shaped like a chair. That does look like a chair. She sat down and began to knit. Uh-oh. Looks like somebody might be bothering her. The little green moon man, which is only make-believe, had never seen a woman before, old or otherwise. They examined, which means looked at closely, her with handheld scanners, computers used to look at her closely, that went beep, boop. So they're trying to figure out what she is because they've never seen a woman before. "Leave me alone," the old woman shouted. But the little green moon men couldn't hear her because they didn't have any ears. So she picked up her sack and left through a wormhole. That's like a special tunnel in space. The void, which is a place in space with very few planets, on the other side of the wormhole was very dark and very, very quiet. She was absolutely, or totally, completely, utterly, totally alone. So most of this is saying the same thing. She was totally, totally, totally alone. It was perfect. So she liked it. She could really get some stuff done, get all of her knitting done. She looks pretty happy there. Soon she had no more yarn and 30 little sweaters for all of her grandchildren, I bet. And she was alone. Now she looks a little bit sad, doesn't she? Like, I'm all alone now. I got my work done and now I'm all alone. So maybe she wasn't so much crabby at the kids as the fact that she was kind of upset because she had so much work to do and couldn't get it done. So she put the 30 sweaters into her big sack. She swept the void until it was a nice matte, or not shiny at all, black. She had a cup of tea from her samovar. Then she picked up the sack and left through another wormhole. When she came out the other side, everything was right where she'd left it. Well, things look really picked up and the kids seem to be pretty well behaved. And she didn't say a word. So she was so happy to see them and give them their sweaters, and a lot of them are putting their sweaters on right now. And it looks like they're bringing the rocking chair over so she can sit. So they must have really missed her.